Hello everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be doing a light build with Jin. Most of my mind crystals are pretty generic, but for this run I'll be taking Curse to Boon to hopefully get some more MP, since Jin needs all the MP he can get, and then since I'll be running on 80 today, I'm taking Perennial for some healing. For healing options, you could take stuff like Perennial, Complement of Death is one that I like, and then also the Mixture stuff is also really good, especially if you're running stuff like Discount. Buffing mixtures on top of that will make them extremely effective. So we're going on 80 and running basically everything except for stuff that makes it harder to either get potentials or get stuff out of the exchange spaces or pick which spaces I want. Since I'm taking the HP recovery here, that's why I think it's very important to take a healing mind crystal. Having that healing reduction and not having any source of healing from either like your legacy characters or mind crystals makes the run very punishing. But you could always take something like Ragna's second legacy skill is extremely good for healing if you don't want to run a healing mind crystal for some reason. For legacy characters and tactics, we're taking skill Light Spear with Light Spear Light Wave, attack Light Wave, and then Light Wave spread. The main reason we're doing this is because Jin can spam the skill slot pretty easily with low-cost MP tools, and then Light Wave spread does apply to the light waves that are made through Light Spear Light Wave. So we're just putting those two to synergize together. And then I like taking Noelle and Lambda specifically. Lambda is a little bit more of a kind of toss-up, because you do have to knock up enemies and make sure they hit the ground without losing their momentum. I'll explain that more in a minute. And then Noelle is just more straightforward. Her second legacy skill gives you an MP restoring. Or a way to restore MP is what I mean. And Jin basically needs all of the ways to restore MP that he can, especially with a build like this. I've always said that one of the reasons why Jin kind of suffers is that a lot of his damage is tied to MP in one way or another, but he doesn't have a way to restore MP on his own. He is very MP inefficient. One thing I've said I would like to see them do in regards to that is just give him like a small MP return every time he does a sheath timing, or maybe if you sheath time an MP skill, make it refund part of the cost. So early on, we're looking for anything that will have a low MP cost. We can get the bow into where it does low MP cost. For now, I'm going to take Triple Dash, just because of how generically useful Triple Dash is. Especially getting it before the first boss fight always makes the first boss fight much more comfortable. Especially if you're on a character or like a tactics build even that has lower boss damage, like Jin. But after the Triple Dash, we'll be looking for... I don't know if I really want to go for the bow too early. I know a lot of people want to see the bow, so I will pick it up at some point. But early on, if you're just looking for pure MP efficiency for less potential spaces, getting either the base skill MP cost or just getting the enhanced moves is a lot easier to get into. So for Light Wave, flexible charging is always nice if you plan on using Light Wave as more of an attacking tool. But if you're doing that, you want more of like a really high damage single hit attack, which Jin doesn't really have. So we want to power up Light Wave as much as possible. Upgrade is nice for making the AoE bigger, and then Lightwave Stun will give you the most damage output, so I'll probably look for Lightwave Stun. And then for Light Spears, we want to do the same thing. Usually I really like Holy Light Spear, but I'll be taking Light Spear Upgrade for this one. Oh, perfect, that's Lightwave Stun at gold rank. So the reason why we want to specifically... Oh, I should have taken that Umbra space. Oh well, it's fine. The reason why we want to specifically boost the damage as much as possible on Lightwave and the Light Spears themselves is that the damage of the Lightwave is calculated based on the Light Spear damage. And those light waves are going to be where the majority of the damage output comes from in this build. The MP attacks themselves will start dealing some damage, especially if I can get the bow skill maxed out. The damage on it isn't terrible. I don't think it's really the best thing, but that's kind of Jin in general. Unless you're willing to learn some of the more advanced mechanics, like doing the instant charged Great Homing Slash. His damage output compared to the MP cost of everything just really isn't that high for some reason. So let's see. Okay, it was upgrade. I just wanted to make sure again before I took that. So yeah, the MP skills that we'll be doing some of the DPS, but a lot of the heavy burst damage is going to be coming from just maxing out the light spears and the light waves. Oh, I ran out of MP there. It shouldn't really be that big of a deal to take a little bit of chip damage there, though. I can always heal it back in other stages. The Healing Mind Crystal that I took, the one that heals on perfect clears, is good for if you just very rarely take random damage like that occasionally, and then you're able to perfect clear like a majority of the stages. If you're not as consistent, then I would recommend taking other sources of healing. We'll probably go ahead and pick up a Radiance here too. There's a couple things I can go into with Radiance depending on what I see. And then Empowered Lightwave is nice, but I'm going to hold off until it shows up as higher rarity, ideally. So one of the things I mentioned at the beginning with Lambda's passive is that the way that Lambda's passive works is that when enemies fall from a certain height after you hit them, they'll restore MP to you, which is really helpful when it actually happens and works properly. It's pretty janky, though, in that it's not calculating the actual enemy fall height, it's calculating their speed when they hit the ground. Okay, perfect. This is one of the things I wanted to see early on. I promise we will get into the bow build, but the bow build, I would rather have more MP by then, and then I also need a couple of potentials on it to where before it starts getting as strong. Now I want to take Advanced Battle or Potential. I'll go for the Potential. That one's always a difficult decision. But yeah, what I was saying about the Lambda passive is that since it's calculated based on enemies' falling speed, if an enemy gets hit by basically anything, they'll get put into like a small hit stun, which will completely kill their momentum, and it can be very easy to accidentally cancel out Lambda's passive. which in this build isn't going to be nearly as much of a problem, since Light Wave is very cooldown reliant and won't even be recharging mid-battle, since we are going for the upgrade that maxes its damage, and then Light Spears aren't going to be hitting that often either, and when Light Spears are hitting, they're probably killing things anyways. We will grab the Sheath Timing as well. That's going to be useful for both the bow build and for the other just regular MP build we're running right now. But yeah, the inconsistency with Lambda passive isn't going to be something that's as bad on Jhin, especially with this build, but it is something that I like to point out, keep in mind for other builds. If you have a lot of tactics that are hitting automatically, like summon ice spikes or even like slimes, that type of thing, then you'll get your Lambda passive cancelled quite often. So it is a very good passive, especially if you're like making a conscious effort to use it. On Jhin, it's more difficult to knock up than on some of the other characters, but it's still something that's good to keep in mind. Getting the freeze upgrades will be good as well, especially because one of them has a hidden effect with the bow. But for now, I think we'll look for... Well, I was going to keep rerolling for the bow skills, but blocking and the dash attack are both a nice upgrade. I think I'll go for the block. I've been working on getting a little bit better at actually consciously using the blocks, so we'll see if I can get some of them in this run. Tactics-wise, you mostly just want to keep upgrading the Light Spears and the Light Wave until they're both fully maxed out, since, like I said, that's where a lot of the damage from the build comes from, especially when it comes to clearing out the normal rooms. The Light Wave spread on the Light Spears together is going to pretty much nuke anything it hits, and it's going to jump around throughout the entire room. And then there's a couple things we can go into with Radiance after that. There's synergies with Holy Marks that I might want to try out, and then there's a synergy with Black Hole, which is why I said I maybe should have taken the Umbra stage that I saw early on, but I wasn't thinking about it. Ooh, MP cost reduction is a very nice a very nice buff to see in the shop. Normally I don't buy tactic ascensions, but in this build it is going to be a little bit more useful than usual, since a lot of the damage scaling is coming from like Light Spears damage, proccing the Light Wave, and then getting ascensions on stuff like Radiance is also always useful. I'm not actually sure which is the better between taking the percentage damage and taking the damage here. I think in this case, just because it'll go from blue to gold, it'll be nice. The extra, if you have like, for example, if you're getting a +2 tactic ascension and you only ascend at one tactic, it doesn't necessarily get wasted. The extra ascension will just apply to the next tactic you pick up. Oops, we'll just pretend I didn't use that the wrong direction. We are actually going to run out of time here, which is a bit unfortunate because we're not going to heal after the boss fight, but I think we'll be able to make up for it. Oh, that was We'll just pretend that didn't happen either. It's been a long time since I played any Entropy effect, so we will have to maybe get a little bit of practice back in. Pretty much when I stopped playing for content, I also just decided to take a break for myself too. I had pretty much messed around with all the new tactic stuff that I wanted to, and it was nice having some time to just go and play some other games. Since when I am doing content stuff for Entropy Effect, it's taking up a majority of my time, or a majority of my free time. Okay, cool. I was thinking that if I was going to take any trial, the two I wanted to see were either this MP Restoration one, or the one that gives me all debuffs. And then, the important thing about the one that gives all debuffs is that it also cleanses all of them when the trial ends. And then, since I took a Mind Crystal for... let me show it. You get a bunch of... where is it? Oh, here it is, Cursed Boon. You get a bunch of MP for every debuff you clear. That will work off the trial. Okay, so as long as I don't, like, throw in this stage here, we should be able to probably stabilize again. Having the MP draining from the trial is going to be a little bit annoying until we can get the trial finished, but once I get some momentum back up, it shouldn't be draining anymore. Jin's gonna be a little bit on the more difficult side to rack up combos with, though, unfortunately. Especially since I don't have something like, Sakajin. Or even the hold attack would give me multi-hits, which was here, but I'm not gonna worry about it. Honestly, at this point, I might just want to take the dash attack. Though, the MP cost is what I need here, but the only problem is if I can't keep up my combo count. Yeah, I think taking the dash attack is the better option here. If I didn't have the trial debuff on, I would just take the MP cost on the arrow skill. But this will help me build combo a lot faster to not drop MP, and then also just... this is just a very generally good upgrade once you have triple dash. It helps you keep enemies under control a lot better. You're safe the entire time you're doing it, because you can proc dodge frames and it's passive. It's just a very all-around good thing to have. Kind of tempted to re-roll these just because of the triple white tier. So one thing you could do with this is go into Radiance Flash and then get Light Spear Flash. Upon landing, Light Spears... oh no, that's not the one I want. It's the opposite one, which should be in the Light Spear tree. When Flash appears, fire a Light Spear at it. That'll just give you another way to trigger Light Spears, to trigger the Light Spear Light Waves. So it's basically like having Legacy Light Spears and Skill Light Spear at the same time. It's a pretty cool build. I'll hold off on it for just a little bit longer, see if we maybe get an Umbra space. For Umbra, what I would plan to go for is Legacy Black Hole with Radiance Pull. They buffed Radiance Pull a lot. It used to only pull once, and now it pulls continuously like a black hole would, and then also it increases the damage amplification by 50% for Radiance, which is insane because Radiance was already very strong, even to the point of where they nerfed it, and now they buffed it again for some reason. So, by the time you get Summon Radiance, Large Radiance, and Radiance Pull, you have a very strong source of crowd control, even better than Legacy Black Hole itself. Which is something I do want to try and show off, but if we're just not getting the Umbra space for it, then that's not something I can really do much about. If I don't show off this Radiance Pull Black Hole thing in this video, I'll most likely show it off pretty soon in another video or maybe a live stream. It's something I've got prepared for in case Bullet maybe needs it. Also, I wanted to do this run on 80. Usually I do it on like 76 without the boss healing reduction, but I wanted the third Sortisho reward, because Sortisho is one of the better ways of getting MP if you have all 3 rerolls on it. They don't cost anything, and you can get 20 or 40 from it, which, thank you game for proving my point right there. Usually what happens is the complete opposite. I'm talking about, like, oh, the Sortisho's decent for getting MP, and then it will give me no MP spaces the entire run. But here it did the complete opposite. It gave me 2 MP spaces. Tech extensions also are pretty decent from here, if you get the +2 ones. And then I don't know. I'd have to, like, actually do the math to figure out what's would add up to the most damage there, but it doesn't... I don't think it really matters too much either way. I'm also going to save a bunch of time by... Getting 3 Sortishos in a row is really odd, but that's just how the RNG works out sometimes. I save a lot of time by doing this, but I lose a lot of exchange points unless I'm rolling exchange points in the Sortisho. Even if you're not taking exchange spaces, just killing enemies on its own gives you exchange points, and while it might not look like a whole lot if you just look at each individual kill and stuff, it is something that, it's something that adds up over the course of several rooms. So if you ever take a bunch of event stages like that in a row, you do have to be careful of not having enough money for exchange points. That's more of something that applies to, like, higher entropy runs, where you have more refreshes of the shop as well. So, speaking of Bullet, who I mentioned briefly earlier, I will most likely be doing a live stream tomorrow with either my first looks, or maybe I don't know exactly if I want to jump straight into the live stream with my first looks of her, or if I want to learn the character first and then start the stream. With Hazama, I did it with my first looks, and then Icy, I did a little bit of Icy that live stream as well. Let me look at the... Okay, perfect, Legacy Black Hole. With Hazama, I did my straight-up first looks, and I don't know how entertaining that stream was for people, because I was stopping constantly, I was having to read things, and then Also, like, going to the training room a lot to check out things. Getting very sidetracked trying to do cool combos with him in the training room and not actually fighting things for like 5 minutes. But anyways, we're gonna take the Radiance size, because like I mentioned before, once we get the Radiance pull, the size is going to be a huge increase for it. With the black hole range, you'll see what I mean once it once I actually get the red tactic for it. It makes it where the entire size of the Radiance constantly is pulling in enemies. It's very, very strong. So yeah, like usual, if that's something people want to give their opinion on for the live stream, if seeing the first looks is like something you like, seeing me figure out the class for the first time and put things together of like how to maybe break it on day one, which I am pretty sure I can break the class on day one. I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. Or if you want to wait and have like a more smooth stream where I can start to explain the character a little bit. Now, damage output is something that's going to be a little bit of a problem for bosses. Again, though, a lot of the problem with my damage output right now is coming from the trial debuff. If I had the MP to constantly proc the light spears, it wouldn't have been nearly that bad. And we should see within the next boss fights that it gets a lot better. Now that the trial is done with. So back to the live stream real quick. I think, personally, I'm leaning more towards just doing my first impressions. Oh man, this would be really good for extra MP. But the obligation just is not worth it at all. So, I have the combo count thing, and I can restore with my Noelle, but I still don't think it's worth it. Especially because I've already consumed... Ooh. I've already consumed a couple of the Sorticio spaces for MP. You can't get the same Sorticio space twice, so like, since I already got the MP plus 40, I can't get it again. This is so good, but the obligation is so bad. This is like the most ideal thing, either this or the one that makes it where your skill slot, your skill tactic has no cooldown. Both of those are very good for this build. But obligation it's really harsh. That's one of those things where the wording is a little bit misleading. It's not just invulnerability that's invalid with that. It's your dodge state as well. So if I'm trying to like dash out of something, like I have muscle memory for, I can take damage during that. I'd be able to take damage during Jin's entire time stasis. It's a really, really harsh debuff. It might honestly be the worst debuff in the game, or Covenant obligations at least. if you have a character like Hakumen who really relies on parries and invulnerability states, it pretty much just negates Hakumen entirely. So I don't really care about any of these. I am perfectly fine with selling them for money, though. I could take the MP stage here for some more MP. I am playing a bit dangerously. I have 2 mixtures, though. I don't think it's a big deal. I'll probably burn 1 mixture here, just for the little bit of extra safety. And then assuming I don't do anything too reckless here, I should be able to perfect clear this and get into a better health state. Of course, Virulent Bombs and Intermittent... Ooh, that was close. Virulent Bombs and Intermittent Thunder are like 2 of the worst debuffs to have if you're trying to get perfect clears. But we got it anyways. And then hopefully we'll be able to get a... Man, I was trying to stay out of range of their hits, but those guys target anyways, so it didn't work. Hopefully I'll get a perfect clear on a boss pretty soon in order to remove the rest of the debuffs. Now that we have Radiance Pull, it should help out quite a bit too, for getting some more perfect clears to heal back up. I'll just take the mixture here, I guess. I've mentioned this before, but you don't need to take exchange spaces early on in every stage, because the last stage before the boss will always have a guaranteed exchange space on the top slot. That'll be when you're on stage 8 going to stage 9. So when the counter at the top left says stage like 3-9 or 1-9 or 3-8, 1-8, that type of thing, you'll always have a guaranteed shop on the top slot of the selections. Even if it's hidden, it'll always still be exchanged. So basically, you never need to take a exchange space early on in stages. You can always have the guaranteed one at the end when you have more money saved up. If we take this, it'll give a hidden effect with the bow skill eventually. So we might as well pick it up. And also just make the bow skill freeze for a little bit longer. Now we could pick up Holy Marks, but I think I would rather finish maxing out on stuff like Light Spears and Radiance. I think I'll get the Radiance actually first. I know I said Light Spears were important, but the size increase on Radiance is going to be pretty helpful for clearing out normal rooms more efficiently. So if you watch the Radiance pull, it just constantly pulls everything into the center Like I said before, it's once you get the size increased on the tactic, it's basically just a better version of Black Hole. Oh, that's really unfortunate. I got just a little bit too much momentum there and slid off the edge. And then here is the hidden effect I was talking about. The freezing duration of the bow has been significantly increased. So one of the really good things about the bow is that it can freeze enemies for quite a long time. Even though I don't feel like it does quite as good damage output for the MP efficiency as stuff like the instant charge Giant Slash or the full procs of the counter skill. It does have the it does decent damage, and then it has the long freeze duration going for it. So you can see there just how long the freezing was. Which honestly sometimes, like right there, I probably wouldn't have got hit by that. But the freezing is not something I'm used to, so it really threw off my muscle memory of when the attack was going to come out. So there you go. I don't think it was a perfect clear, but no, it wasn't. You can see how the damage output is actually pretty good, assuming I actually have the MP to use on my very MP-based build with the scaled light spears. And then also getting the bow actually maxed out does help quite a bit as well. Once you get stuff like more arrows for it, and then costing less MP. You can also just rapid fire the bow if you really want to. Do we go black market? I don't think I really care about it that much, honestly. It's pretty late in the run to get, like, stacking HP from the black market, and then exchange points would have been nice from it. I don't think of anything else I would really want too badly from it. We were doing good enough damage output on the boss that I think I can just go for the large radius. Virulent. Or not virulent bombs, afterlife bombs. They are definitely one of the debuffs of all time. Virulent bombs on their own aren't necessarily that bad. They're annoying, but they're manageable. The parts where they become really difficult to deal with is stages like this, where you have survival, and then also when you have enemy count turned up from entropy settings. Let me check something. I need to change... There we go. I'm gonna change my summoning method of Radiance to automatic. I changed that last run too, but I guess it just doesn't save. I guess it doesn't save if you do it mid-run for some reason. Sometimes I'll use it on automatic, and then sometimes I'll use it on crouching. It kind of just depends on what type of build I'm running. In this build, I just kind of want it to be down as often as possible for the crowd control. So I'd rather just have it on the automatic. But if I'm doing a build where, like, I want the actual damage bonus for a specific attack, then that's when I'll have it on crouching. I guess something I should mention real quick too is that with the enhanced attacks from Universal Enhancement... sorry, I had to just clear my throat real quick there. But with the enhanced attacks from Universal Enhancement, it's glitchy for some reason when I'm on controller. But you do them by pressing attack plus skill, and then the way that I do it on controller is I just use I pretty much just unbound key combo to a button I don't want to hit. I put dash plus skill on a random thing, I don't ever use that key combo, and then I put attack plus skill on left bumper, so I can do that automatically, basically. I don't have to worry about hitting both of the attack buttons, I just have to hit the key combo button, or the key combo button for attack plus skill, which is my left bumper. That's something I would recommend doing if you're going to be using that on Jin a lot. Honestly, I'm a little bit more tempted just to get the extra. It removed Afterlife Bombs too, so that's perfectly fine with me. I don't really care about too many of the other buffs. Having fast kill MP recovery would be really nice, but that's also... it'd be very random if I got that or not, with how many buffs are left. So I mostly took that just for getting a little bit of extra MP, but the fact that it actually did remove the Afterlife Bombs is huge. Then again, I think I'm gonna sell anything that's related to Black Hole. I don't need to power up the Black Hole at all, because I'm not using it. I'm just using it for the Radiance. And then selling them is actually really efficient in high entropy, because you make extra money. Selling tactics is not something that's really good in low entropies until you're getting more money from them. But in high entropy, it's very effective. Assuming you already have, like, a decent tactic build put together. And now we're basically back up to full health, so I'm not too worried about the rest of the run. Could go ahead and get SP skill, I guess. We will be freezing more often than normal, since I am going Universal Enhancement for freezing stuff, and then the bow will also be freezing. Normally I don't take Universal Enhancements for freezing. Mostly because my typical Jin build is very potential heavy, and I just don't really have space for other stuff. Which, I think my typical Jin build of going for the counter fully maxed out and then going for giant slash skips is better if you're going for, like, Transcendence runs. But that one is also a much more higher skill ceiling, whereas this one's pretty easy to do. And it also takes less potentials to get going, which is a huge boon in this game. The faster you can get your builds going in this game, the better, generally. Or, also, the less potentials you can use to get it going is something that's very strong if you ever want to do, like, 100 entropy, where you're having reduced selections and having a more difficult time buying a lot of potentials from shops. That's also something that, interestingly, kind of applies to low entropy as well, oddly enough. I feel like certain entropy settings, even though they're lower, are way more difficult than high entropy, just because of the opportunity of how many potentials you can find at once. That's one thing I've always kind of liked, though, that you're getting a benefit from playing on high difficulty, as well as just making the game harder. Like in my high difficulty 75 to 80 runs, I can get a lot more potentials than I would on if I were to do like even a 50. 50 can still get a decent amount, but if a 0 entropy run can get significantly less potentials than a like 50 or 75 up there. But then you kind of hit a certain point after 80 where it starts to go in the opposite direction again, where anywhere from like 80 to 100, depending on, well, 80 to 100 will force some of the settings that reduce like your potential selection, reduce your ability to see what's in shops and what else you're picking. So I think we'll go into exchange, see what's in this. Even though I don't have much money, I'm not planning on full clearing Omega Sector, so I might as well. This is not really gonna do me any good at this point. I think I'll just take the MP, honestly. Maybe I should have waited. I could have came in here after Reki to see if I needed to heal. Let's take the event. I want to see if an optional boss shows up as well. Because what I might do is... Let's see. Was this elevator on? We can probably perfect clear her pretty easy. Just clear out the debuffs and then get a little bit of extra MP back. This version of Non has no HP. So you can one-shot her with a lot of builds. Unfortunately, this build is not enough to one-shot her. If I had maybe, like, hit the light spears better or something, I don't know. But it's a perfect clear regardless. It barely took any time. Not a big deal. So one thing with... let me go into the training room real quick. One thing with the sheath timing and the arrow attacks, all you need to do is sheath time the first one, and then you can keep rapid firing them, and they will all have the sheath timed effect. So if you look at like the arrow count here, you can see they all have the same arrow count. If I shoot it like this, there's less arrows. That's how you can tell that as long as you sheath time the first one, then the rest you fire consecutively will always be considered sheath-timed. Now, my problem is... I don't know if this is just a me problem, so let me know if you guys have this problem too. Firing these consecutively is always extremely inconsistent for me, even though I've tried it with even like an auto-fire button, and it's the same. The amount of ones I can get in a row is always feeling just very random. Sometimes I'll get really long strings like that, and then even though I'm still pressing the button at about the same pace, I think, it just randomly breaks my chain, like right there at the end. You can see on my controller input, I was just pressing the button, I think the same as I was doing normally, but the chain just ends very arbitrarily. It's not consistent between when it breaks and when it doesn't, so I don't really know what's up with that. Are these the only 3 things we have left? Oh yeah, I guess we maxed out Universal, which this will help with the freeze time. It's not required, but it helps. Having all these will obviously help for the early MP cost, and then sheath timing will help with the bow if you're doing that, and then blocking. Even if you're not actively trying to block things, you might still get them. And then once you've gotten like one of the early game low MP cost things, you can start trying to max out the bow like I did. I know a lot of people are a fan of the bow build. I got asked a couple times for one, so people will finally be happy that I'm finally doing a bow build. And then we'll try Reki. I don't know how this is gonna go, because I have not practiced Reki. Like I said, I haven't played the game in general for maybe around a month or so. I really hate that. So maybe I'll be wrong, but I swear you can go back and look at my controller input there, and I never turned around. There's a weird thing that happens at the start of this fight, where if you're standing over on the left side, or I mean on the right side of the screen like that, and even if you're facing to the left, I don't know what happens if you're facing to the right, but if you're facing to the left, then it just randomly turns you around when the fight starts. I don't know why it happens, but it does. And that's not the first time something like that has happened, where I randomly whiff a skill at the beginning of the fight. We have to go through an entire other phase. The way that Reki works is that you'll have certain special attacks, like this whole entire sequence, that you can't take her under 1 HP during. It's pretty annoying. If you kill her before she gets into those, or if you kill her like when she's in her stun state, she'll go into stun state after she does her whole first big sequence with the laser and then the other couple attacks. Oh, I got a block timing there. I'm going to say that it was on purpose, and nobody can tell otherwise. So, it was definitely on purpose. YouTuber would never lie. Man on internet will never lie to you. Trust me, I'm a dolphin. I thought I died there for a second. Even though I knew I still had like half my HP left, I did not expect that dash to attack her, but I guess she kind of moved into it. That was a really weird looking kill. I guess we can go into Yukikaze. I should have been using it during that fight. I was thinking I didn't have it yet, but I actually did. That's something that would have made her second phase in particular much smoother. I guess I can check and see if I have like a discounted healing space here. Well, I don't, but I do have a potential, so we can get Yukikaze almost maxed out, not quite. Do we want to... Yeah, let's beat up the tree real quick. Get the final upgrade of Yukikaze. I can also... I'll mixture just to get a little bit of healing. And then... Wow! I did not expect that to half health him. I think probably... I know what happened right at the end there is that a lot more of the light spears were able to hit him since he was near the corner. He might have gotten hit by multiple light spears early on in the fight too. And now Susano shouldn't really be that big of a problem. I guess I could have went into one more exchange space if there was another one. Oh, our damage output is really good for this fight. I mentioned before that... Oh, our blind actually saved us there. Wait, we have a blind? I don't remember picking up blind, but okay. I guess we have it on Radiance. But yeah, I mentioned before that the damage for this wouldn't hold up as well in Transcendence compared to, like, the counter build and the instant Giant Slash. But if you did want to run this in Transcendence, you could run what I call the Chain Reaction build, which would be... It'd be easy to start with this and then build into the Chain Reaction, or vice versa. And the build would work together with what we're running now. It's just that instead of the Radiance and the Black Hole, you would put Orbiting Lightning Orbs on the Radiance slot, and then you would have Lightning Dash on your dash slot, and then you would have... Basically, you make it where the Lightning Orbs spawn lightning from Lightning Dash every time they hit, and then that lightning from Lightning Dash spawns Light Spears, and then the Light Spears proc the Light Waves. That is a very, very powerful build that you can just throw on any character. Obviously on melee characters, or on ranged characters, it doesn't work quite as well, because you need to be in melee range for the Lightning Orbs, but it's one of the most powerful builds in the game. Oh, by the way, I did mention it earlier in the run, but I will most likely be trying to run, or do a Bullet livestream tomorrow, shortly after she comes out. Assuming I'm feeling alright. I've been doing pretty decent most days with my health, but that's something that it's just kind of a day-to-day thing. I have to figure out on that specific day. It's not something I can really plan ahead for. But anyways, hopefully I'll be able to see you guys on the live stream tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.